and welcome to our new third episode of Coaching Couch TV. Today we are talking about parenting and coaching. We have a special guest.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
it's
how
so
are you?
nice seeing you. Very
You
good,
too.
very good.
You
Thanks for joining me today.
Of course, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Yeah, I was very close to do this episode by myself, and it's pretty scary. You have no
Yes,
idea what
definitely
to talk about.
is. Of course.
Yeah. All right. So, Derbla,
Yes.
she was with me in a course when we were
Yeah.
going through mental health and well-being coaching. So, I haven't been with you for so long. I joined just at
I
the end.
know.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, it would be nice to know you better as well as people who'll see us.
Okay. My name's Tarbla. I'm 30 and I'm from Ireland.
Mhm.
I got into life coaching because I actually suffered with my own mental health for so long.
Mhm.
Um, I suffered with it for 13 years, and I had previously done a counselling and psychotherapy course, and it was kind of like not fully the direction I wanted to go, and I kind of wanted a more holistic side. So I was like, I want life coaching. I felt like was the right thing for me, and obviously with being in mental health and well-being, it was a huge part of my life, and I was like, I understand this, so I know that
Mhm.
I can put a lot more back into it. Um, I'm quite into psychology, neuroscience, everything that's
Mhm.
around your brain and how your mind works.
Yeah.
I have a son who is just about to turn 8.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I'm actually a single parent, so it's a full-time job,
It is.
which
Hi.
is not fun all the time. But definitely the
No.
coaching, it was weird doing the coaching because the coaching actually kind of fed into the parenting side then, where you were actually able to use some of the coaching stuff for my parenting side, and it just played into each other. And so I actually got a lot more out of the course than I thought I would.
Mm.
Yeah.
So this is amazing. That one of the reason I wanted to do this episode is about how coaching can help in parenting.
Yeah.
So it's not only about how you're going to help other people, but
Yeah.
also how it helps you. So
Yes.
what do you think? Where does coaching
Um,
help?
oh, well, the first thing was learning to actively listen. Like,
Hmm.
I think in everyday life, we all listen, but we don't actually hear what's being said. We're like distracted. So you've like phones, you're talking to somebody else, you're getting the housework done, and the child is coming to you and they're saying something, you're going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're like, yeah, I heard what you said, but like, you're like, then they leave and you go, did I actually hear what they said?
Hmm.
So it was that thing of being like, I would have always said, I'm a great listener. Like, I listen to all my friends and that, all of this. And then that thing as well of if somebody comes to you and says, oh, this is what's going on, that you don't go, oh, I've went through that. Or I know what that feel, that you're kind of like, no, stand back, because this person doesn't want that. They just want you to listen to what they're trying to tell you. So like then when it came into parenting, it was like that thing of, it was like, if your child is coming to you and saying this, especially if it's an emotional thing where maybe there's something going on, you have to be like, put the phone down,
Hmm.
remove everybody else from the situation, and be like, okay, eye contact level, what are you trying to tell me here? But it just made me very aware of just how much I have them distractions, how much I realized that I'm like, you didn't hear that. You didn't listen
Hmm.
there. And your child picks up on that. Your child picks up
Hmm.
on that. And then things can happen and you'll say to child, why did you never tell me that? And they'll say either I did tell you, or but you don't listen anyway. When I do tell you, you're not listening to me. You're doing something else. So you're kind of like, had to take a step back and be like,
He's right.
wow, yeah, of course. And like I said, we all do it. I mean, especially because we all have phones
Mhm.
now, and technology is so easy, and you're talking to your friends all the time. So easy to get into a different, like, just distracted away from actually listening to what somebody's trying to tell you. And like I said, with
Mm-hmm.
kids, it's so important. And I think as well, maybe because I'm a single parent, it is something I had to focus on more, because I was like, I'm the only person he has to come to. So I have to make sure I'm really listening to what he's saying, so that he feels like, okay, I have someone that's going to listen to me. Do you know what I mean? Because
Mm.
he'd nobody else to go to. So I was just became very aware of that. And I was just like, wow, yeah, this is something you really need to focus on.
Mm.
Um,
That's amazing.
yeah, and then just there was so much in the course I got use of. That I actually, there's a model in it called the CIA, which was the control, influence, accept. And I
Yes.
think when you're a parent, this is something that you have to learn to do. So you have to learn, like, if a situation arises where the child is concerned, it's like, and you don't know what to do, or you're like, God, I wish this could go differently. You have to learn, what can I control here? What can I influence to maybe change or work a bit better? And then it's like, what do I just have to accept that's not going to
Mm-hmm.
change? Like, I have to accept the situation as it is. And I'm just like, I think when you have kids, learning to accept a lot of things that maybe you don't necessarily like, because
Mm-hmm.
they're not you and they're not meant to be you. They are their own person. And although
Yeah.
you might not like certain things, it's like you have to learn to accept that. That's who they are and that's who they're going to be. Learn
Mm-hmm.
that, like, that's what it is. And like, especially when it comes to like their future and stuff like that, it's like, accept the now, like accept what's happening right now. Like, I know, like, my child's only 8, so I don't have to worry about what's he going to do in the future. I mean, he doesn't know what he's going to do, but I know definitely when you're a bit older, as he gets a bit older, it is going to be that thing of like, you're trying your best to steer him in every right direction. But sometimes you just have to say, he's not me and that is my child, and he has, like, I can bring him up the best way I want, but some things
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to have to accept, and some things are out of my control, and I can only influence the best way I know possible, for with a good intention, and after that it's going to be completely up to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, yeah, it's like there was a lot in the course that I really took home. Another thing was
You can
obviously the rapport.
implement it. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously the rapport was a big thing, because when, like, for any parent, but I think especially like a lot of single parents will understand this, that when you are a single parent, try to build rapport can be very hard, purely down to the fact of, there's no good guy, bad guy. You are always
Mm-hmm.
both. You are always.
Yeah.
So if anything goes wrong, or they get in trouble for something, or they do, anything like that, you are constantly the person that gives out. So then how do you build that relationship that's like this, but this is a good
Mm-hmm.
relationship, But you can come to me and tell me everything. You can trust me. I'm a genuine person that loves you. But then I'm going to give out to you when you do something wrong. And it's that balance of like there is a lot of times where I've, like, felt the mom
And
guilt,
it's
or
difficult for a child as well. He
definitely,
doesn't know.
like,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah. Well, what
understand.
mood you are in, if you're a bad cap or good cap at the moment.
Yeah,
And they need to approach, they need to navigate this area.
yeah, 100%. Just like, that's it. Like, he doesn't know what mood I'm in then when he comes into the door and he's like, can I tell her this? And then it's
Mm-hmm.
like I said, there's no outreach. There's nobody else. So it's like, but I'm gonna have to tell her if I'm gonna tell someone. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting there going, if I am in bad form, I'm like, is there something he would have wanted to tell me, but I'm in bad form, so he won't tell me. And like I said, it's just hard sometimes to build the trust that you can trust, you can come to me, you can trust, you can tell me anything, but I'm also the bad cop all of the time. So like, there's no, it's hard to find a balance. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, then, like, with like the active listening, like, and like that communication, the eye contact, the body language, making sure that he knows that I'm only doing this for your good, and I give out to you
Mm-hmm.
for your own good to keep you safe. But I have to be your parent. I'm not here to be your best friend. I'm not here to be your best friend, or to even be your friend at that. I'm here to protect you and keep you safe. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do what I have to do for that. But then you use all that stuff, like that like communication stuff, to be like, let's have the good conversations. Let's open up the good conversations, so that's what you remember. You will take that with you and be like, oh yeah, but she might give out to me for this, but when I went to her with a problem,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, really, she listened to me. So
Okay.
she is trying to
Mm-hmm.
be a good parent.
Are
and I'm
you
just like,
sometimes being honest with your son as well? Are you opening up to him?
I have to. I feel
Mhm.
like you have to. I think maybe when I suffered worse with the mental health issues, I was a lot more honest with him. Maybe a bit too honest for his age, because
Mhm.
you feel the guilt of, like, because when I was going through the mental health stuff,
Oversharing?
yes, when I was going through the mental health stuff, there was obviously more days that I was irritated than I would be now. Um, so you're kind of like, because the guilt kicks in and you kind of want him to understand why you reacted the way you did. I
Mhm.
probably overshared, and then realized, as I gradually started to come out the other side of it, I was kind of like, ooh, he's a child, like he doesn't need to
Mhm.
understand any of this until he's
Mhm.
like, what I mean, when he's older. If he said it, I can explain it then. But I'm just like, he doesn't actually hold on to it for that long. That's what I didn't understand. I'm like, whereas as adults we can hold on to stuff for a lot longer. I'm like, if you like say to him, you shouldn't have done that, he's actually not holding on to it for as long as I think he is.
Mhm.
He kind of
Mhm.
goes, okay, and he might be angry at me for being angry, but like 20 minutes later he loves me again. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's something I had to learn. And like that, it was because I listened, because I communicated with him, that I was like, okay, he doesn't really care. If I
Mhm.
get angry at him, he's not going to care for that long, because he does have a good relationship with me. So it is, like I said, it's the balance. It's figuring it out. And then through the course, it did help me to like implement them things of being like, make sure you're listening to him. And even that made such a big difference to us. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was just like, coaching is actually a big part. And I think they do go hand in hand, because realistically, in both situations, you are trying to guide somebody, but you're in an equal partnership. It's not like I'm better than you or you're better than me, or
Mhm.
you're in an equal partnership and you're just trying your best to guide the person in the best way possible. So they do relate a lot, and you're able to take a lot from each other.
That's very nicely said.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, I don't remember where, I cannot quote it, that we as a parents, we are guiding and coaching
Mm.
our kids through life.
Yeah.
It's not that children came from us. Children
Yeah.
came through us.
Yeah.
It's not like they're part of us and they have to be
No.
behaving the same way or they have to be thinking the same way. No, they came through us to this world to experience their own life.
Yeah.
We were just like the vessel. Just here you are.
Yeah.
Here's the world. I'll coach you through your youth,
Yeah.
and then you're on your own. Of course, with
Yeah.
the support that you have. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that, because I'm like,
Mm.
we are the safe space. That is what we are there for. We are your safe space when things doesn't go your way. But they're gonna have their own life, and they're gonna live it. Like, I do agree, kids are a product of their environment too. Like, the way you bring them up is gonna play a
Mhm.
lot of part in who they become. And that's why it's important
Oh,
for us
yeah. Oh, how much
to
money they
that's why
will
it's
spend on
important for us.
therapy.
Yeah. But that's why
Yeah.
it's important for us, yeah, to like,
Yeah.
but that's why it's important for us to like get the help we need, to get the therapy we
Mhm.
need, to get the coaching we need in life, so that we are bringing positive attributes to their life. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, it's not like they should never see you cry, or they should never, like, they need to understand emotions too. But I mean, we need to try our best to be in the best place possible, so that we are the
Mm.
safe space and they learn from us. Like, this is, and I definitely think like that, because we did the mental health and well-being, it's huge now. Like, I mean, mental health and well-being is massive compared to when I first got it. I was 16 and it wasn't spoke about
Mhm.
then. Now it's
Mhm.
massive, and it's like something that is so focused on. And it's like, we need to show our kids, we need to give them the healthy coping mechanisms, not
Mhm.
not the way we were brought up, of like, you don't really have like, you have emotions, but like, deal with it. You'll be fine, you'll get on with it, everything will work out.
Yeah.
And it's
And,
that, like, no.
that's where I wanted to take our conversation now to.
Yeah.
Our parents. So we're talking
Yes.
about parenting and coaching.
Yes.
Let's talk about our parents. What would you say as a coach now?
Yes. Yes.
What would you suggest to our parents, our parents' generation, basically, about raising kids?
Oh, to sit, like, you really have to sit down and just to sit down and talk to your kids. I mean, I don't think
Mm.
my parents ever actually sat down and had an open and honest conversation with me,
Mm.
and we're like, this is, like what's going on in your life? Like, talk to me, tell me how you
Mhm.
feel, tell me what's going on, and like that, because I had the anxiety at 16, it was kind of that thing of they didn't understand, and it was now my mom was great at that situation. She never like
Mhm.
made me feel mad or like, because a lot of people did. A lot of people were kind of like, "What are you talking about? Like, you sound crazy." So, like she never made me feel like I was going crazy or anything like that. And she was very good, but it was that thing of like, there was never communication. Like in our
Mhm.
family, it was kind of like you get up in the morning, you get ready for school, you go to school, you come home, you do your homework, all of that sort of stuff, and all of that. And but like what was going on in our lives back then, they would have never known. I don't
Mhm.
think my parents would be able to tell you what I ever did. Like when I was maybe a little bit older, but definitely younger, it's kind of that thing of you're told what to do, and
Yeah.
that overwhelming emotions. Then they had no clue what was going on in our bodies because we were so
Mhm.
overwhelmed. We had no idea, but they certainly didn't because they were just kind of like busy life. Just keep moving. If you have feelings, you're fine. You grand, you'll get over it. Do you know what I mean? It was that thing of like you will be fine, you'll get over it. We all got over it. We were all
Yeah.
kids once. We all got over it. We were fine. So it is that thing of you're just like, just sit down and talk to us. Sit, like, take a break, take a minute, get to know your
Mhm.
kids for your kids, because we do watch everything they did. Like I grew up watching everything my mom did. Now my mom was a great character. Like she was a really good person, and she was definitely someone to look up to. She worked hard in life. She raised 4 kids with my dad, and like, do you know what I mean? My dad went out. My dad was a typical dad. Like my dad was at home during the day doing the like cooking, the cleaning, and then at night time he was gone to work. Like, and then my mom was the
Oh.
one that was at home with us. She worked during the day and then was at home at night, and
Mhm.
they worked so well together, and they showed us a very healthy relationship. But as parents, they were great as parents, but they never sat down and had conversations. Like they never. Then you'd walk out your door and they'd say, "Where are you going?" You'd say, "I'm going here," and they go, "Right, Grant. Let me know that you're safe."
Mhm.
That was the end of it. But we never
Mhm.
talked about feelings in our house. Never spoke about feelings. And like that, if you were upset, it was kind of that thing of like, just get over it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
like, get over it, you'll be fine. Whereas with Kobe,
We
I'm
had.
more like, talk to me. Tell me what the
Mhm.
feeling is. What's that emotion? Like I need you to, because like that when I grew up with anxiety, then I could never pinpoint an emotion. I never knew what the
Mhm.
emotion was that I felt that was causing the anxiety. So then with Kobe, I'm kind of like, give me the emotion.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
that sort of
I
thing?
think
Sorry
this
for one
is.
second. What? You okay? Sorry. Parent, being a parent, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What, Kobe? Show me. You okay? Come here.
Oh.
Oh, you alright?
Oh. Here's the emotions.
No. You okay? You know, bit sad? Are you sad?
Deborah, like, if you need to take a minute, it's fine.
Yeah. You okay? Are
Oh.
you going back outside? Do you want to go back outside to play? Okay, give me a hug then before you go. You okay now? Come in if you need me, okay? Okay. Love you. I like parenting moments.
That's a live episode. Yes, that's what
Yeah,
happens.
just about to say it just worked out well. but but
Good
yeah,
planning.
no,
Good planning.
yeah, no, definitely, yeah. With our parents,
Mm.
it would definitely be the thing to,
Mhm.
to talk more about emotions with us, to help us to understand what different emotions felt like, because the anxiety is the overwhelming feeling. It's that overwhelming, and you actually can't pinpoint an emotion because we don't
Mhm.
know what emotions are. Like
Because you don't know
if you
what you
cry, you're
feel.
sad. Do you know? But like with
Yeah.
anxiety, it's like, what is that feeling? What, and I see,
Mhm.
like I see with Kobe. Kobe has Asperger's, which
Mhm.
unfortunately means he has anxiety too. And I see it with
Mhm.
him, like when the overwhelming comes in, and when I would have had panic attacks, my mom like, they wouldn't have ever understood what to do. Whereas with him, I kind of sit down and I'm like, I give him a minute to like try pull him, try to just settle with it, and then I say, "What's the feeling?" Like you need
Mhm.
to you need to say it out loud to me. So when you hit 16 and 17, if this is still happening, which unfortunately it might be, you can tell yourself what the emotion is. You can shout it out in your own head so that you're like, this is what it is. So that your brain kind of is like, okay, that's all right then. But I just
Hmm.
feel like, yeah, I feel like our parents, and I do believe it's just a generation thing where like they were brought up like that, where it was like,
They didn't know any better. Yes,
no,
exactly. Yeah.
they never understood emotions. They were never taught, like,
Mm.
you have them, but they are what they are, and just go with them because they're always
You're
in
a
your
kid.
body.
Yeah, you're a kid. What
Mm.
are you gonna do? Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone got them. Yeah. And
yeah,
also, no one would sit us down and explain things. It's just,
no,
you have to do that. Why? Well, because I yeah, I say so. That's it. There was no
yes,
explanation that why, what's the reasoning, what behind it, what's the result you will get it. I think my father was better than my mom. My mom just didn't care. She just said how it's supposed to be. You
yes,
just have to do it. That's it. Yeah. But again, this is how she was brought up as well by her mother,
yes,
and they didn't have a very you know nice life that
yeah,
times. It was after the war, and no one cared that much about feelings. We never hugged in our family. We barely even, like, only when
yeah,
we grew up. And yeah, I moved far away, and I kind of, for me it was very strange thing that people do, they hug. And after living
yes,
here 20 years, I kind of introduce it to our family. It's okay to touch, to hug.
mm,
There is like
mm,
feelings, we're family. So
yeah.
yeah, bless
No,
them.
that we'd be the same in our family. I don't think we were ever huggers. And I actually had a conversation with another girl lately who's actually the same age as I am, and we had talked about the conversation about did your parents ever tell you they loved you when you were younger, or was it a thing that it was an action thing where you knew your parents loved you because the way
Mhm.
they treated you, but did they say it? Because I was like in my house, not that I remember anyway. It might have been said the very rare occasion. We
Yeah, on
knew
a
definitely
birthday.
like that. Yeah, like, but we knew that like our parents loved us. We knew
Mhm.
that they did because of the way they brought us up, and like they just did everything for us, and we were very blessed that way. Like we had a very good childhood. Like there was 4 kids in my family. We were very lucky, and even I see it
Mhm.
with like Kobe now and my dad. Like just like it's still there. Like you can still see that side of him. But I'm just like I don't think we would have ever, and even me and my sisters would never now turn around to each other and be like, I love you. Like, or hug
Yeah.
each other or any of that. Like, it just, maybe when when you're leaving, it's like the greeting
Mhm.
thing, like the bare tap of hi. But like meaningful hugs, no,
Yeah.
no, I
But
don't
you do that
think.
with your friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If when I see my friends, I would hug them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the most affectionate person though. I'm not
Mhm.
affectionate.
Yeah, I agree.
And like
I
that, I
agree.
don't know whether that's an environment thing or whether like I know there's other stuff there for me that just I'm not a big affection person, but no, definitely with my friends I would hug. And like on the phone, if we were getting off the phone, we'd say love, I love you, like, and you
Yeah.
do that and you'd hug goodbye. So in our friendship group, yeah. And actually,
Mhm.
you're only actually making me very aware of that we do that in my friendship group, but just it doesn't happen in my family. It does not. Like, so it's
Again,
weird, like
it's
that you're saying the same.
environment, yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely maybe an environment thing. Yeah.
Well, where do you think children get their resilience?
I was thinking of this earlier and I was like, this is a tough one because, like I said, they watch us for everything. So, like, I mean,
Mhm.
they are watching our emotions. They are watching, like I said, I would have never seen my parents cry, really. I don't think a bar if maybe there was a death, like, never would have seen them
Mhm.
cry. So, like that, my resilience would have been built from you grew up and whatever happened, you just dealt. I was always very resilient. Until probably last year, I just went through emotions and it was just like it is what it is. Not never bothered me. No emotion. Like it was just like I had no emotional situation there at all.
Mhm.
It's like I didn't have emotions. Um, but then eventually it does catch up with you. It does. Obviously, that's where the anxiety was come from. And now that I've worked on that, I'm working through my emotional stuff. The anxiety is slowly setting away, thank God. But then I've realized the importance for Kobe for him to see me go through emotions. Um, but also he just goes through his own. He has went through a lot of stuff in life for the fact that he's only 8.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with the Asperger's, the emotional side is a little bit less out there. He wouldn't feel the emotions as much as other kids would, and he definitely couldn't read a room. Like, he wouldn't read a situation,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't have a filter on his mouth. Things can get said sometimes, and you're like, oh. But I do think, like, kids, like, especially so, like, obviously COVID hitting, and honestly, kids through the whole lot of them 2 years, wow, like, they were so resilient to everything that life threw with them, between, like, school shutting down, can't see friends, can't see family. And I mean, for us, we understood. So it was like, we can't
Mm-hmm.
do anything, unfortunately. They just took it on the chin and went with it and did school back at home. And it was just like, how I'm struggling being stuck in the house. And like,
Yeah.
Kobe just dealt with it. Kobe dealt with it in the best way possible. Like, I mean, Kobe just got on with it. He was just like,
Mm-hmm.
he just has, I think kids nowadays just have a very, it is what it is attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a lot more than we had, though. Like, we had a television that probably had 4 channels. Kids
Yeah.
have so much more out there now, like, to do. And obviously, like, you have a lot of technology out there. And I don't know if kids maybe feel their emotions as much as we would have. I think technology plays such a big part in their lives now that maybe they don't feel what we used to feel when we were kids. I mean, like I said, we didn't have all that stuff. So you were outside all the time. You were playing with your friends, and, like, your feelings got hurt and stuff like that. But I just don't think they feel it as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether it's that or whether. But he is great. He's very, like, it is what it is attitude. He is very like that. He just I just think as kids, you don't need to understand the outer world, because that's what mom and dad are there for. They're gonna keep me safe
Yeah.
and protect me from all that. So I can just get on and do what I want, and I can climb trees, and if I fall and break my leg, it just is what it is. Sort of, So, like, I do feel like as parents we do give them strategies too, because Colby sees me be upset if I'm upset. So he
Mm-hmm.
knows it's okay to be upset. It's okay to let them feelings out, and it's good for me to let them feelings out, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not holding them in. So then it's kind of like I don't need to be resilient towards them emotions, because I can actually just let them out, and I can
Mm-hmm.
tell mom if I'm happy, and I can smile, and I can laugh, and I can understand my emotions. So it's a bit easier that way too, that he just understands it a lot better than we would have as kids,
Uh,
because
and for him in
we
the future to read it in other people as well. Yeah.
yeah, and we, like, because I think our generation growing up, this has all come to light, and we now as parents are all more aware that this happens, and we're kind of like, I need to focus on that. I need to make sure that he doesn't grow up and feel like that he doesn't just push everything aside and not deal with
Mm-hmm.
anything. So I think we give them better tools to deal with it, so that they don't, so they just, then when bad things do happen, they're kind of okay with it, because it's not loads of bad things, it's this one bad
Mm-hmm.
thing, because I've dealt with the rest of it.
Yeah.
But kids, kids,
Yeah.
kids are amazing. Kids are genuinely amazing. The kids blow my mind. They are so resilient to stuff, and they just get on with it. And you're just like, fair play, fair play.
Yeah.
We
I
stress
learn
way
a
too
lot
much.
from my son. Yeah, he's 5, and I
Yeah,
learn a lot from him.
yeah,
He just asks
yeah.
question, whatever makes sense, he's fine. Whatever doesn't make, he keep asking, and then
Mm,
he's not worried about anything.
no,
But I do agree when you were talking about talk to your kids about the feelings.
yeah,
All his aunties, my sisters-in-laws, they love him, our
yeah,
son. And when he goes there and he tells them when he's angry, he tells them, "I'm angry."
yeah.
He's 5. So when
That's
he
great
was,
though.
when he was younger, he
Yeah,
would cry, and I would say, "Okay, what do you feel? Why are you crying?" Because you could see he's angry or
yes,
something or upset. I was like, "Okay, what do you feel? You feel upset? You feel angry? Something hurt? You just need to make sure
mm,
everything." And this is how he started identifying these feelings. And now he can
yes,
say he was actually one time, and me and my husband laughs about it a lot. We were sitting watching TV, and our son was eating in the kitchen with a nanny. We have a nanny. so, and then I hear screaming of our son, and he's like, "Tima!" You are not making me happy. And I'm coming to the kitchen. I was like, what's happening? Who's not making you happy? Yes, she didn't give me a spoon or a fork or something. You're not making me happy. It was last year. I was like, well, you should, like, you can be nicer than that. You shouldn't be putting
Yeah.
everything in your feelings, feeling
Yeah.
happy, not making you happy. But yeah,
Yeah, but it is a
fun.
great understanding,
Yeah.
definitely for his age, to have that understanding and be able to say it out loud. So you're like, I know how you feel, so I know how to help you right now. So like
Hmm.
that is amazing.
Yeah. I
Well done
think this
you as a
also came.
parent. Look at you.
eh, No, thank you. I think it's also came from experience with my parents, plus
Yeah,
coaching on the top, and I was like, I need to fix it.
yeah,
Because the way we were brought up, there was no talks to us about emotions,
yeah.
but my mom will use her emotions to manipulate us, guilt trips and everything. So that's not how I want to play in my family. That
Yes,
shouldn't be done this way.
yes, yes. I completely understand. But like, yeah, because even we, like, me and my friends would, like, we would talk about stuff like this, obviously, and then we were also talking about the whole, the bribery thing, when
Bribery,
they're
yeah.
having the
Oh.
meltdown and people say, why don't you just bribe them? Now, I'm not going to say I've never done it. I'm not going to say I've never done it, because of course I have. There's been certain situations where you're like, if you just be good, I will, like, I'll bring you wherever, somewhere where he wanted to go. But there is, like, for me, I'm like, there is certain situations
Mhm.
where you have to choose and you have to say, I know this is about to become a very hard situation for the both of us, but I have to use this to teach you something.
Mhm.
So we're going to go
Mhm.
through it, however long it takes. And look, I know that if you're tired, or you're after doing a full day's work, it's hard to come home and be like, I'm going to spend the next hour with you while you have your full blown tantrum and you're overwhelmed and we're trying to get to the bottom of it and you're trying to process everything. It can be
Mhm.
really hard to have that moment,
Mhm.
but it is so important. It's so important to just take that moment to be like, this is a moment that I need to teach, like, that you're going to teach them something. And you're like, you can't just continue to bribe the child. Like, you can't, because then then they're not learning lessons in life. They're actually not learning lessons. But you were actually saying there about, you were told, like, you have to be good. Like, you have to be good. And I think we forget, even now, like, I forget sometimes, like, he's still a child. Like,
Mhm.
he is only 8. Like, Jesus, like, give him a break. Like, he's gonna misbehave. It's not like he goes around like breaking the place up, or like, it's not like he does any of that stuff. It's not like he purposely sets out with bad intentions and harms anybody else. I'm like,
And it's
you
not
have
like
to
he's
remember,
doing it just to
yeah,
piss you off as well. It's just
yeah.
just him being a
You're just
child.
like, he's just him
Yeah.
being a child. And I'm like, when I think back about me being a child, I'm like, he's probably a lot easier than I was, you know? But no, I do. Like, I definitely think you do have to sometimes sit back and go, this is a child. And especially when the tantrums kick in, because I think we sometimes forget how overwhelming it can feel to be that young, not fully understand our emotions yet, but for this big
Mhm.
emotion to be there. And then, and you're like, oh, like, why are they crying? Like, why
Mhm.
are they screaming like that around the house? Why? Because Colby would be quite like, if Colby is really upset, having like, he won't let you go near him. Like, he's like, don't come near
Mhm.
me. Now, he's able to tell me that. He's able to be like, don't want you to touch me, because he has sensory stuff too. So he's able to say, I don't like,
Mhm.
now I have sensory stuff too. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to, I can't bear people touch me either when I'm like that upset. So I get it with him and I'm like, that's fine. So I'll sit down beside him and I'm like, you have to kind of give them a minute, because if you go straight in with what is going on, they're reacting. They're just like, you're not giving me a
Mhm.
chance. Whereas, like, I leave
Mhm.
him for a minute and I'll just sit down beside him and I'm like, I'm here when you're ready to talk to me. I'm here when you're ready to talk. And my parents would have never done that. Like, they would have never been. They would have been like, stop screaming around the house like that. Get up. You're fine. Get out. You know what I mean? Now,
Mhm.
I know there was
Mhm.
4 of us, so it was a bit different. Like, it was like, I'm not dealing with the 4. But yeah, like, and then he would eventually calm down. And like, my thing is that I'm trying to teach him as well how to bring himself back down off that high, because that's a big high
Mhm.
and that's a lot of
Mhm.
adrenaline. And when you're trying to come back down off that, And then there's like, you're going to panic if if you don't know how to do it. And I feel like that's where a lot of my anxiety came from. I was coming down off that high, and I didn't know how to deal with the anxiety side of it. So I'm trying to teach him like to just deal with the emotions as he comes down off it. But like,
Mhm.
you just it's hard being a parent. It's hard to be a parent. It's a really hard job because you don't know whether you're doing right or wrong, and then you're trying to base stuff off your experience, and it might be what they need.
Mhm.
So you're
Mhm.
trying your best to maneuver and figure out them as a person, them as a child. But like
Every
I said,
day.
yeah, it's just so important to take the time out and say, this is an 8-year-old child. I know how
Mhm.
I feel like when I feel like that, and I'm a grown adult. So imagine how he feels in an 8-year-old body and an 8-year-old mind. He doesn't fully understand yet. So you have to
Mhm.
just kind of take yourself back and say, give him time to just let the adrenaline come out of his body, and then speak to him, and then make sure that, like that, I said, like that before, I think I kind of did the course. There would be times like where like you'd be waiting for him to kind of calm down a bit, and you take out your phone, and you would not realize I wouldn't have realized in my mind, I'm like, to him, that's like, you don't care. You care more
Yeah.
about looking at that phone than listening to what I'm about to tell you. And I was going to tell you what was wrong, but now you're not paying attention to me. And you're like, oh, so now I'm like very conscious of like, don't literally sit there and just be quiet,
Mhm.
and let
Mhm.
him know, okay, she's really listening to me here. She
He's
really
there.
wants to
Mhm.
communicate. Yeah. Like, this is somebody I can trust, somebody that's trying to make me feel safe right now. And in a moment that feels so unpredictable, she has given me predictability. She's given me
Mhm.
some form of control back where I feel out of control. And let them come to you, because then for them, they're like, I control that moment. I got to control
Mhm.
that. And then for them, and that helps their brain then to be like, I have control back. You can relax yourself now. Like, you can calm
Mhm.
down. And like I said, it takes a long time. It does take a long time.
Mhm.
And when you're tired and you're irritated and you're just like, I just want to go to
And if
bed
you
or
had
have a bit of peace,
yeah, and if you had 4 instead of 1?
I would probably cry all the time. Like, look, there's parts of me that wonder, would it be easier because they'd have each
Mhm.
other.
Yeah,
And
that's what I wanna say, yeah.
you would, like, I don't know, because I mean, I have only one, so I genuinely don't know. And then like I've met people that say, oh Gigi, I know I had two and it was way easier. When I had the second one, they
Mhm.
have each other, they play with each other, and then you go, yeah,
Mhm.
what happens then when they fight with each other? And then they're arguing, like, and you're like, there's pros and cons to everything. I personally don't know. My parents had 4 kids under 5.
Mhm.
How they
Mhm.
coped with life, I don't know. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and there was 3 girls in that. I mean, there was 3 girls, so it was very like, and we were all like just such in the same age that it was like bickering and fighting the whole time over everything as we grew up. You know, like we got on. Don't get me wrong, but like, constantly as you grow up, like when you're younger, it's just toys. As you grow up, it's like clothes and everything else that comes with it, and you're just like,
Sibling
how did you?
rivalry. Mhm.
Yeah, and like, how did you listen to us for that many years? How did you continue to listen to us? How did you not? And my mother used to always joke and say, "Why do you think I always kicked 40 out of the house like at the same time when you were kids?" But we were lucky
Mhm.
where we grew up was like countryside, but it was like a built-up countryside, so everybody in
Mhm.
the area had kids of the same age. So we grew up where it was
Mhm.
just all kids, but you were countryside, everybody played together. So you were outside all the time, and I will always be grateful for that my parents were like, get out of the house. Because, like I said, the whole technology thing now, I understand.
Mhm.
Look, I understand technology and I understand it's moved up with the ages. But Kobe's tablet broke a few weeks ago, and I said, I'm not buying you another one. Like, I'm point blank not buying it for the rest of the summer. So I said to him, your birthday's coming up. I will literally buy one for your birthday, but you can do the next 6 weeks without it. And it has been the
Mhm.
best 6 weeks that he has had, and it's the happiest I have seen him in the longest time. He's literally had no time. He has literally been outside all the time. Whereas if he had his tablet, he wouldn't go. He would not. He'd just point blank refuse to leave the house. He'd be like, "No, I
Mhm.
want it. I want this." And you can even see the effect that the tablet has on his brain. Like, he's a lot more angry and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I'm like, it just like, it's another one of them situations where you have to take it away. Like, I've learned my lesson, and I'm like, you will get a tablet again for your birthday. But believe me, there's going to be rules with this tablet, because I have now seen like just the social side completely flipped. Whereas before,
Mhm.
he wouldn't go with anybody. he wouldn't go out with friends. He just didn't like being around people. Now he's like out with kids the whole time, like all the time. And he loves it. And he's a lot more energetic and he sleeps a lot better and he's just not as
Nice.
angry as he used to be. Like the tantrums have decreased significantly since that tablet's gone. And I'm
So
just like, you're
maybe
in
you
two
need to
minds.
rethink,
I'm like, do I
reconsider
even
your
give him
birthday
one?
gift.
Like, do I even give him the well, it's Saturday now, so I think it's a bit late. But it is, like I said, the hard thing, it's really hard being a parent. And I think that the problem is
Mhm.
that people think, but I've chosen to have the kids, so I have to deal with it. And it's like, no, like you're allowed to have a break. You are allowed to feel angry at your kids. You're allowed to feel sad.
Exhausted.
You're allowed,
Mhm.
yeah, you're exhausted because you're like, whether you go to work and come home to kids or you are with kids all the time. I genuinely don't
Mhm.
know. I've done both and I couldn't tell you which is worse because I'm like, I don't know which one is more, I mean, in the sense of, I don't know which one's more exhausting. And I think that,
Um, I miss being exhausted by adults, I have to tell you.
yeah, I was about to say, I think that the problem is stay at home parents get such a bad rep. It's like, you stay at
Yeah,
home with your
yeah.
child all day. Sure, that's not a big deal. And I'm like, do it. Like, literally,
Try,
tr- try stay
try.
at home with a child all day and just not want to cry because you literally are like, I just want an adult conversation right now. Like, I don't want to talk to this child anymore. I'm done. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And you're trying your best to just parent the best way possible. And
Mhm.
when this is the thing that people don't understand. So when you're a stay-at-home parent, it's very hard to not give in at some point because that child is literally at you all day and at you all day, and you've heard mommy, 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 and you just go, I'll just give in at this point. But the minute you give in, they remember. And they would do
Yeah.
that every time after that. And then and then you're like, what have I done? So I'm like,
Mhm.
parenting is just, people don't realize parenting is so hard, regardless of whether you stay at home or you're out working and you're coming home, and it's just like,
Mhm.
what? Like, what? And like that, you are like, every decision I make in life is going to affect the kids. It's going to affect whether you want
Mhm.
kids or however many kids, it's going to affect them. So it's even life choices. It comes down to life choices that you're like, I have to be so careful about how I go about this because it's going to affect them in the long run. So
Yeah,
it's a
and as you
lot.
said, they will remember. Yeah.
They do, and they
Um,
do.
I w- um, I've always been a working mom
Yeah.
until the last year, and
Yeah.
so my son was 4.5 when I stopped working, and this last year, from September, I've been at home. So
Mm.
I thought, okay, I'll stay at home. Finally, I'll be a mom. And
Yeah.
I have to tell you, after a year, as I said, I want to be exhausted. I want to be tired by adults because at
Yes.
least in the office, you have your corner somewhere to hide, or you can have some conversations when people will sense
Yes.
that you don't really have time to talk to them.
Yeah.
You can pretend that you don't have time, even if you don't have anything to do. Just say you have some project coming up,
Yeah.
anything, and they will
Yeah.
leave you alone. But there's mommy, 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 and it takes so much out of you. My husband comes from home.
Mm.
I'm exhausted. He's
Yeah.
exhausted from work,
Yeah.
and he's like looking at me. And as one day I told him, I think I know why I'm exhausted. It takes a lot of energy not to blow up.
Yes, exactly.
Just
That is literally what it is. You are holding yourself together and you are like, I can't.
and that's
I
just
can't
yeah,
do what I want to do
don't get
here.
yeah, don't get high in emotions. You just calming yourself down every 5 minutes, and this
Yes.
exhausting.
Yes. It's the
And
mental exhaustion. The
yeah,
mental exhaustion. You're just, and like I said, as
which is
parents, I don't,
unpaid. No one
yeah.
appreciates that. It's unpaid. It's the worst. I don't know. It's I found a new respect for stay-home moms.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
I always thought it's like, oh, a choice, or you're just enjoying it. Maybe some enjoying, but it's really, really hard work.
It's really tough to be a stay-at-home mom, especially like all the time. It's just like, listen, I don't want to be around any adult 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
So being around someone that can't even have a proper conversation with me most of the time, and that I can't vent to or rant to, like it's tough. It's tough. And then like, do you know what I mean? I remember going through stages where you're just like, just bring on bedtime. bring on bedtime so I can put him and
Yeah,
just like
bath,
watch something for
bath in
myself.
bed.
Yes. You're just like I can just and it is that like you always see this, it's the fight between I'm exhausted and I need to go to sleep
Mm.
and I want to do something for myself. But that's going to mean I'll stay up later and I'll be tired tomorrow. So it's like that constant battle for yourself of being like, oh God, oh God. But
Mhm.
like, and I remember actually this from the course, somebody said about coaching and they had said, oh, and how often would you coach? And she said, I remember the course coordinator was like, Artur was like, oh, that's up to you. But obviously you wouldn't be doing it like all day, every day. Like, I mean, you have to take a break. You couldn't constantly like be helping other people and like constantly feeding
Mhm.
into their minds. And then I was like, why as parents do we never think like that though? Why do we not go as a
Mhm.
parent? I can't continuously feed. What? Yeah. Um. So I'm like, why as parents do we not say, oh well, I need a break as well? Like especially
Mhm.
stay-at-home parents, it's like take the
Mhm.
break, run as
Mhm.
fast as you can out of the house. Your husband comes home, just run, just be like, bye, I'm leaving for an
You
hour.
know,
Yeah,
my son actually learned that mommy needs a break or mommy needs
yeah,
to work. I'm just saying I need to go and work, and I closed in this studio,
yeah,
and I do something. I actually work sometimes as well. And
yeah,
he will just
yeah.
come, check in without even saying anything, close the door, and go. Yeah, we do
Oh,
have good moments, but
yeah,
mostly, even if I tell him go to daddy, no, I need mommy. That's it. So that's
yeah.
mommy 24/7.
That doesn't change, by the way. That doesn't change because still now, when I'm like anywhere with Kobe, and it's
Mm,
like if he's like, "Oh, will you do this?" and I'm like one of my sisters could be, or one of my friends could be, and I'm like, "Kobe, I'll do it," and he'll be like, "No, I need my mom to do it.
mhm,
I need my mom
mm,
to do it," and I'm like, "You are 8. Take it off whoever's going to give it to you at this point because I do it all the time. Like, give me to." No,
mm,
he would. Like I said, he's a bit older now, so he's able to go outside and play. And I live in a really like I'm in a countryside village. It's really quiet, so he can
mhm,
go out and he's safe. He's only outside
mm,
the door. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I do get the break, and like that, he's in school. Like during when he's in school, then during September and that, and I work now as well. I only work now a
mhm.
couple of hours, 2 or 3 days of the week in the mornings. Um, but it does do so much for my head, for mentally. I'm like, thank God, thank God
Mhm,
for this.
mhm.
Do you know what I mean? But like I said, parenting is a lot tougher than a lot of people realize, and I think it's a lot tougher than a lot of people give themselves credit for. I'm like, to any
Yeah,
parent out
yeah.
there, well done. Anybody that's being a
So
parent right now, well done.
yeah, yeah, good job,
Yeah,
guys. Tell me
yeah.
one of the things that one moment maybe that you remember that really made you feel proud about, like you're on the right track of being a parent.
Oh God, there's been a few of them lately. Lately enough,
Mm.
there's been like Kobe would have a lot of manners
Mhm.
outside of the house. And for me, like a lot of the time, it's just another parent saying, like, if he goes to somebody's house and another parent saying, "Wow, like your child is like had so much manners and all," and I'm just like, I'm doing a good job here, But no, there was lately actually, it was something really like, and people are gonna be like, "This is mad." Lately, I was one of the girls was in my house, and we were sitting outside in the car. She's a full-time parent as well, and I was after collecting her and bringing her back here. Like, and we had the two kids, and we literally anytime we come here, we sit in the car for 5 minutes while the kids come inside, and we just chat to each other because you're like the minute you go in,
Mhm.
you can't talk to each other. But it's that thing of like you catch up and you get 5 minutes to yourselves without the kids. And I remember the two kids came out and said, "Listen, just give us a few more minutes inside." And I was like, please tell me you're not cooking anything. Like you haven't got the oven on, have you? Like you're panicking. And they're like, no, 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 it's not like that. And then they came out a few minutes later and they're like, right, you can come in. And they cleaned my downstairs.
Oh,
And Kobe, like this, they said,
so cute.
ye always like look after us and ye always clean up after us. Like, so we just said we do you a favor. That moment for
Oh,
me was like,
the heart.
I have done something right here. I have really like, do you know what I mean? And it wasn't about the fact that he cleaned the house. It wasn't the fact that he cleaned the
Mhm,
downstairs. Like I'm like, it's not that. It was the thought process. It was that he thought about me enough to say,
mhm,
I want to help her, and that
mhm,
for me is the biggest deal. Like I'm like, I'm really proud of you that you are thoughtful like that. And like he has, like, we have conversations about, like, oh, obviously, like, I was like, when I get another boyfriend, what do you want him to be like? And like the
Mm-hmm.
things he thinks of are not what most kids would probably like. He's like, he has to be someone that's thoughtful. He has to be
Mm-hmm.
someone that speaks to you in a nice way. And you just think, I'm like, I've brought you up well if this is what you think a
Mm-hmm.
man should be. And I'm glad that he does think like that, because I'm like, when you get older, I know that you're going to be a good person. But he
Mm-hmm.
has the best heart. And like I said, he does continuously make me proud. He does. Like when he gets out there and like he gets more social, when he's out like playing his matches, when he's like mannerly to other people. Like for me, it's the small things are the big things in parenting.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think a lot of parents have take. The small things are the big things. And although sometimes you look at your kids and you just think, like, honestly, where did I get you out? Like, why are you acting like this? You just have to remember the small moments and be like, they are the biggest moments. And I do make sure that Kobe knows that they're big moments to me, that I'm like, I am really, really proud of you right now. And I'm glad that this is who you are. And I'm like, I take that in
Mm,
life with you. But yeah, no, there's a lot of proud moments that stand out for me, that I'm like, I'm doing this thing right. I'm doing
that's
this
so
right. Like
sweet.
I'm doing it
Mm,
right. And I think you need them moments. You need to take them, embrace them, and say, I am doing this right, because otherwise them other moments where you're like, what have I done? What have I created in this?
I
You
created.
have to remember, it's like they're just going through their stuff, and realistically,
Mm-hmm.
deep down, who they are as a person is who you need to remember, and just be
Oh,
proud of that. Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
Oh, that's really, really sweet. I have
yeah,
small as well. I but lately there are more and
yeah.
more coming up, and he's only 5.
Mm,
And when we had in May, when I made a birthday, I invited kids. I got a cake, ordered the way he likes. He liked
mm.
Super Mario and Spider-Man at the same time. So we had a split cake on two sides with different themes,
Yes,
just because he liked it. Of course, balloons, kids, and just for a
yes,
couple of hours. And then not the same day, the day after, in the evening when he was going to sleep, and he's like, "Mommy, did you do this all by yourself? The preparing the birthday?" I was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, thank you, mommy. I loved it."
Oh,
And
I can feel that in my heart. I'm like, oh,
the tear from my side. I'm just not showing him
yes,
because emotions, but
yes,
I just wanted to. I didn't expect it, and just like, "You're welcome." Mhm. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
we did
That's
something good.
yes.
Yeah.
You're like, for him to have such gratitude for, like, do you know what I mean, for
Hmm.
that. It's just
Hmm.
like, and like that's the thing that I'm like, they should have gratitude and be able to understand.
I'm
Maybe
not
not at his age.
expecting
He's
it.
a bit
I'm not.
he's a bit
I'm not
young,
expecting.
maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I
Yeah.
mean, they should grow up having gratitude for the smaller things, and that's actually a
Hmm.
lovely attribute to have, that he picked something and he was like, it might not have been like the biggest thing, but you made a lot of hard work. You put in a lot of hard work to do that for him, and he
I
appreciated
never
that.
mentioned.
That's
I never
yeah,
mentioned, and
yeah,
he was also helping to decorate. He was blowing balloons,
yes.
so he was arranging for the guest as
Oh,
well. So he took part
yes.
in that.
That's so lovely.
Yeah,
That is such a beautiful moment. Like, you'll remember that forever. You'll be like,
and then I know that's probably one of those. If I could frame it and put it somewhere, that would be one
yeah,
of those moments.
yes, of
Mm.
course. That's so lovely,
Kids,
though.
kids, kids
Oh
gives
yeah.
us such a hard time, but when there are these moments, it just erases everything
There's nobody
what
else in the world that
happened.
could do it. There's like,
No,
if
no.
if you had a boyfriend or a friend that did as much as they do, like, there's no way that one little moment would make up for it. But it's just that moment with a kid.
Mm,
It's that
yeah,
unconditional love where you're just like, they didn't have to appreciate me, and they did. They did, like,
yeah.
they thought about that and they appreciated that, and it's just like,
Mhm. And he
oh God,
remembered, yes, yeah, that's
yeah, like and
mm,
that's it, that he remembered to ask you about it, and he remembered to thank you. Like, do you know what I mean? That he was like, I need to remember to ask her about that, so that he could thank you for it. And you're just like, you're
mhm.
only 5. Like, you're literally only 5. Like,
You don't
what?
have to, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what we're here for. It's okay. You don't have to appreciate, you don't have to say thank you, but they are the
Yeah.
most beautiful moments because they're the least expected moments. I think that's what it is. You least expect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, you don't expect such things, as well as,
no.
cleaning downstairs when you think they're doing
Yeah.
something
Oh,
shady.
when it goes quiet and you're like, hmm,
Okay,
what are
we'll
they up
watch
to?
this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. You know that we talked for almost an hour.
I know. Time gets away from you though.
We had a great conversation, really.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I'll keep whatever questions I think we covered almost everything. But what I
Yeah.
want to talk, I want to go into our unpopular opinion segment.
Yes. I've been waiting for this. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yes. So this is something. Okay. Prepare yourself.
okay.
I need to also put our disclaimer about unpopular opinions. Okay. So the unpopular opinion is kids owe the parents for raising them, for feeding them, for housing them. And when kids grow up, they have to take care of the parents. It's their job.
No. No. I've seen this lately. I've actually seen this unpopular opinion somewhere like, no. You as parents chose to have a child. That child owes you like now, when they get to a certain age, they owe you respect. They owe
Mhm.
you like that. They owe you like manners, like as in that sort of stuff. When they hit, like when they're old enough
Mhm.
to understand. But do they owe you to look after? No, they didn't choose to be born. You chose to give birth to these kids. I mean, they have their life. They have
Mhm.
their life. You set up your own life so you can take care of yourself when you're older, whether that's whatever that means for you. But no, like would it be a nice thing if your child did it? Yeah, of course. And I think we all joke about with our kids where we're like, oh, when I'm older, you better not put me in the nursing home or what. We joke about it. But I would never ever expect Kobe to ever look after
Mhm.
me when I get older. I'm like, I
Mhm.
chose to have you because I wanted to have a child and I loved you very much. And I've raised you as much as I can. So now it's time for you to live your life. So
Mhm.
what you're basically saying is then, okay, so now I've raised you to be old enough to look after me. No,
Mhm.
like I've raised you old enough so that you can go out into the world and experience everything life has to offer. And if you want to have your own kids, you look after them. If you don't want to have kids, that is completely your choice. But no, I definitely don't feel like kids owe you anything. Like I said, it was your choice as a parent to have kids. The
Mhm.
only thing in this world is that you have to raise them, and that is it. That's yeah.
Prepare them for their life, yes.
Do you agree? Do you agree with it?
Actually, I'm agreeing with you 100%, but I'm
Yeah.
okay when people have a different perspective on that
Yes, of
and they can
course.
justify that they thinking. It's fine. It doesn't bother me
Yeah.
because it's their life. But I totally agree. My kid doesn't owe me anything. I don't
No.
want to be a burden in their life that they have to postpone their life, or
Yeah.
just don't proceed what they want to proceed,
Yeah.
and just because they have to take care of me. And I wouldn't be one.
Definitely.
I didn't birth him and raised him to do that and not fulfill
Yeah.
his life.
Definitely,
Mhm.
because it's especially because none of us know what medical situation you could end up in either, where you
Mm,
could need
yeah.
serious medical help, and then it's like your child will
But
literally
then
have
he's
no
not a
life.
doctor. He's not a
That's it,
doctor,
and then
right?
they have no life. Like you said,
Mhm.
no matter what somebody's opinion is, I will always
Yeah,
respect somebody's
yeah,
opinion. I will always respect
that's
it.
right.
I'm like, I would sit down and have a conversation with any person with
Mhm,
any opinion that's
mhm,
different than mine once it's kept respectful. Like, respect that I have a
mhm.
different opinion. I respect you have a different one. I
Yeah,
would love to hear, like, I love understanding why people think the way they do because there's so many
me
different
too,
reasons
me
why
too.
people
Yeah,
think like
yeah.
that. And I'm like, I love understanding people's brains. And I'm like, tell me why you think like that because that's interesting.
Mhm,
And I am in no way saying you're wrong because I believe as we grow, we can also change our mind about stuff. Like I could say this to you right now, could have said anything in this conversation right now. then 5 years I could be like, I actually, geez, I said that back then, but now I disagree with that. I shouldn't have said that
Mm-hmm.
because now this is my thinking. And you grow and develop. But the only way you do that is
Mm-hmm.
you go out there, you find other information, and that's, some of that sitting down with people that have a different opinion and going, give me your perspective. We all
Yeah.
have a different perspective, and
Give me
there's
the
so many
reasoning
reasons we
behind your
have.
perspective.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah. Like, tell me why. Let me understand this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's interesting to me. And I
Yeah.
would always allow people to express their opinion in any way. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
once it's kept respectful of everybody else that's there, whether it's just me and them or whether it's a group, I'm like, honestly, you're entitled to your own opinion, and I will never
Mm-hmm.
disrespect that. I have my opinion. That's what it is. I'm not going to shove it down your throat. I'm not going to shove it in your face. That's just what it is, and there we go. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, mm, I will say I do think strongly on that one. I am like, no, my child is not here to look after me. He is here to
Yeah.
have a good life, for me to look after him. And when he's good and ready and he's at that age and prepared in life to go his own way, go and find happiness. And that's all I want for him. I'm like, find your happiness. That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
And
Yeah.
Darla didn't know the question beforehand. Unpopular opinion
No.
questions.
And
I'm keeping them
I've been
secret.
waiting for this. I was like, I wonder
Yeah.
what it's gonna be. I wonder what it's gonna
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
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 That's the one.
That was a good
And
one.
and I do believe about my children, but at the same
Yes.
time, my parents don't expect me also to help them. They have their
No.
own life, they have pension, but I do love when I have possibility options to help them,
Yes,
because yes,
yes.
they raised me,
Absolutely.
and the time it was very difficult with our relationship, especially with my mother.
Yes.
But since I moved 6,000 kilometers away 20 years ago, we are much closer now than we were when we were living in the same house. So
Yes.
I do appreciate them as a parents. They gave us as much as they could that time.
Yes.
um, as long the things that they knew the best they could, they did.
Yes.
So yeah, whatever I can, I'm happy to
Yeah.
contribute. And
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I agree. I agree. We be the same in our house. I mean,
Hmm.
my dad recently has stopped driving and all that. So like all of us will be like, oh, if you need a
Mm,
lift, like don't be afraid to ring us. And we do say the thing of, well, he did it for us long enough. So
mhm,
why wouldn't we repay that favor? But I don't feel like you said, he's never made me feel like I owe him
mhm.
that. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
would be like, no, I don't want to burden you. I don't want to inconvenience you. And you're like, no, it's fine.
Mhm,
I can
mhm,
bring you. That's not an
mhm.
issue. But he's never made me feel like I owe him something. He's never made me feel like we should have to look after him. But if I can, I will. If there's anything I can do,
Yeah.
I will do it. No, no questions asked. Because I think it
Mhm.
is that thing where you respect them so much for everything they did that you're like, you are asking the bare minimum right now, so I will
Yeah.
happily help you with that. Yeah.
And it's not like you feel like you're obligated. No, you really want to.
No.
If they need
Yeah, yeah, of
something,
course.
please do let us
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's
definitely.
fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Right, Derba, I will not keep you for long. It's been it's been a great conversation. Thank you so much
Definitely,
again
yes.
for
Of
you were the
course.
only one. And I did have two guests scheduled for this episode,
Yes.
but unfortunately, for very serious reasons, both of them they excused themselves.
Yes.
I really
Yes.
hope that one of them is getting her health back, and another one, the family is keeping strong.
Yes.
I'll see you guys later. And Derbla, thank you again.
No problem at
That
all.
you came to my rescue today,
No
and
problem.
anytime when you feel like we haven't, every Thursday,
Yeah.
we have, here we go, every Thursday, we have live at 10 o'clock UAE time. And pop in if you're interested in any other subjects. You can be our guest as well. We can have
I,
many different
I just
guests here.
I just let them know that's 7 p.m. then Irish time, English
Yeah,
time.
Irish
Just because
time, yes.
because if there's Irish, they'll be like, I never understand the time difference. I can't figure out how to work it out. So I'm like,
You can Google.
it's 7
Google is a
p.m.
great
here.
thing.
Yeah,
7 p.m.
yeah,
Ireland, yes.
yeah.
So now it's 8.
Yes,
Um, have a great evening.
you
And
too.
again, anytime if you feel like popping up. And have a great weekend.
You too.
It was
You too.
amazing seeing you and catching up after a while after we
I know
finished the course.
it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been this.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks everyone who watched us, our
Yes.
live or will watch in the recording. You can see our previous episodes on the channel, and you can also see where is the highlights of every episode. I'm doing a shorter video with highlights, so you can have a look at that after a couple of days. And I think this is it. I think it's
Okay.
have a good night, good day, good evening, good morning, whatever you are. And thank you, Darbla. Have a
Thanks
good
very much.
evening.
Bye.
And see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.